All right, guys, welcome to the Higher Level Live. Appreciate you guys hopping on. Please like, subscribe, comment, share the page. Be greatly appreciated. So today I want to spend a few minutes going over some closing sales tips, if you will. We've been getting a lot of new agents started, non-licensed, even agents that have come from other IMOs or insurance companies. And the common theme, I think, is showing value. When value exceeds price, people buy. But there are some tips, some pointers, some things you can do throughout the process of the appointment that I think as you get towards the end, make it a little bit easier. And for me, it was definitely something I needed to work on and learn, especially coming from the background that I came from. It wasn't, sales is, to me, giving somebody something, showing them value, and having them separate with their money. What I used to do in the past and in my previous career was save people a bunch of money. You don't have to sell that. That stuff sells itself. So setting the table is a huge deal in this business, meaning like what you're doing when you get to the home, how you knock on the door, what you say when they answer, what type of small talk you have, how long that conversation lasts, and then how you transition into the sale. So this is how I did it, and it worked. Now, if what you're doing is working, please don't change it. But if you're not feeling like you're getting the results you want, if you're feeling like you're walking out of homes and you're not collecting checks and writing apps on people that you think you should, then change something. And it. Those appointments where you walk out and you go, I should have got that one. And it happens. It happens to the best of us. It happened to me. And every time that happened, I'd go through it in my head or talk to my manager, talk to Sean, talk to somebody that was good at sales and go, hey, what do you think you would have done different? And that's kind of how we get better. So, when you get to the house, you're knocking on the door. Like, I never rang doorbells. I don't know if the doorbell works. So always knock on the door. And I'm not lightly knocking. Like, I'm beating on the door. Right? Like I'm a cop. And that's typically what they would say when they got to the door. Man, I thought you're the police. Yep. Nope. Just the insurance guy. Anyway, do you want me to take my shoes off? And I walk in, like the storm door's open if they have one. If not, I got one foot on the step. Like when that door opens, I'm easing my way in the house. Like there's no, can we reschedule? There's no, what are you doing here? Like I'm ready to rip. I got the lead in my hand or, whatever, if you are calling web leads, which you should be calling, print them out on something so it looks formal. First thing I used to do when I walk in the home is I would go, where's your kitchen table? And they would point me in the direction. I'd go to the kitchen table. I'd immediately sit my bag on the chair and I'd go, do you mind if I use your bathroom? So glad you answered the door. I got to go to the bathroom so bad. You mind if I use your bathroom? They'd point me to the bathroom. When I got out of the bathroom, first thing I would do is go, my Lord, my head is pounding. Man, I've been going since, if it's 7:30 morning, my first appointment was at 6. If it's 8 o'clock at night, my first appointment was at 7. I've been going all day. My head is rocking. You happen to have any Advil or Tylenol and a glass of water? Like, I'd ask for all that stuff. And so inside of 2 minutes, I've gotten them to show me where the kitchen table is, let me use the bathroom, get me a bottle of water, a glass of water, and get me an Advil or Tylenol. Did I had a container of Advil and Tylenol in my car that was like good. It probably could have lasted me another 5 years. Just because I got so much Tylenol, so much Advil. They'd bring it to me. I'd be like, thank you. And then I'd go, I'm going to eat this. I'm going to take this when I get in the car. I'm going to put something in my stomach. Sometimes they would feed me. But the point is, I'm getting them following instructions. Can you please get me a glass of water? They go do what I asked them to do. Could you please, would you happen to have any Advil? I've got a terrible headache. And for me, it broke the ice and it got them used to doing what I asked them to do. And then I would just sit down and talk. Now, when I walked in every home, what I would look for is something that I could relate to, something that I thought might be important to them, whether it's a family portrait, whether it's a signed helmet, whether it's a deer head, whether it's a piece of artwork, whatever it is. If I can get them talking about stuff that is important to them, they're going to open up. And when they open up, they let their guard down. So, I think a big mistake a lot of agents make, and the biggest mistake I made early on, was not asking enough questions, really just going in there and trying to be very transactional and selling. And the financial inventory sheet, the client worksheet, the client intake sheet that's on FFL National's page, and everybody has access to it across Family First Life. It's not something that we have. It's everybody has it. Is a tool that a lot of agents don't utilize. And the challenge with that is you're not asking some of the right questions that will set you up for success. Like, all of the questions on that sheet have a purpose. You know, medications, what their if they have a mortgage, how much is their mortgage? How many years is it? What the interest rate is? Do you have life insurance? Yes or no? What kind of life insurance do you have? If you don't have life insurance, do you have anything that acts like life insurance? And then on top of that, dig deeper. Like, I was talking to an agent today about an appointment they ran last week, and they were going like, well, you know, he said he had this, and he said he had this. I said, well, you know, the scenario was like he owned a business with his brother. I said, okay, so what type of business? And they told me it was like they work on trucks. And I said, so he's a mechanic, right? He works with his hands. He said, yes. And I said, him and his brother do that together. Yes. I said, so if his brother were to happen to pass away, does he lose 50% of his business? And then better yet, if both of them pass, would the spouses know what to do with that business to utilize the so-called money that comes from the business? So you put a big question mark next to that. He also had some real estate. Well, what happens if those houses get stuck in probate court? What happens if they burn down? What happens if? So insurance is in case, just in case. In case something happens, you're prepared. So what I would try to do in every appointment is see what they had, and if it was good, don't get it twisted. I'm going to let them know it's good. But I can count, and I did the math the other day. It was well over 10,000 appointments set in the 10 years that I sold insurance. Well over 10,000. So even if I sat with half of them, right, and it was way more than half, but let's just say I sat with half, I can count on one hand the amount of people I actually sat with that were properly insured. So people aren't properly covered. It's just, you're not, if you think that, you know, 2 or 3 people a week you're sitting with are good, then you don't believe in the value of life insurance. You might want to read some stories about people that died with actually not enough life insurance, because most people aren't covered. So what I would try and do is find out what they had, and then tell them the pros and the cons of what they had, and tell them what could potentially go wrong, because that's our job, and then show them a solution to that problem. And then all the while I'm shaking my head, just little tiny psychology of sales stuff that works, that you don't even realize it works, but people mirror you. When they're really in tune with what you're saying, you'd be so, like, if I'm talking to you and you're really into what I'm saying, and I do like this, there's a very good chance, without you even realizing, your head's going to tilt, and you'll mirror what I do. So when I'm nodding my head, it's crazy. Watch them. They'll nod their heads. If I'm sitting up in my seat, a lot of times they'll sit up. If I lean back, they'll lean back. That's if you have that connection. If you're on the same page as them and they're liking and trusting you, that's kind of how it works. I would also say a lot of things like, you know, once I show you this, you're going to say it's a no-brainer. Why do I say that? Because I don't want them to say anything stupid. And let's face it, a lot of times people say stupid stuff because they don't feel like dealing with it right now, or they may think they might get something better. And if that's the case, you're not doing a good enough job explaining it. And that's where I needed to work on in the beginning. So I needed to work on my control in an appointment, my posture. I needed to work on how I showed value in the plans. And I also needed to work on my introduction and setting the table. Okay. So here's how an appointment should look. You get to the house, you knock on the door. You know, again, if I'm you, I'm asking for bathroom, glass of water. You don't have to ask for an Advil, but it would work for me. And then I'm sitting down and I'm chatting with them. I'm chatting with him about the stuff I saw walking from the front door to the kitchen table. And if I didn't see anything, I just start asking questions. You have kids? What do you do for work? Like, I'm a question asking fool. And whoever's asking the most questions is in control of the conversation. So I'm asking questions. Everything. Now, this small talk portion of my appointment is 5 minutes max. And sometimes it's only 3 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes, talking for 5 minutes is a long time. It really is. You don't realize it, but the next time you go to an appointment, like, check your watch when you start to have a conversation and then start asking questions and see, when you feel like you've asked a lot of questions and you're getting to that point where it's almost getting uncomfortable, look at your watch, and I guarantee it'll only be 3 to 5 minutes. So, but that ice-breaking process is 3 to 5 minutes. And after I ask them the last question, when I'm wrapping this thing up, I'm going to go, all right, Tom, all right, Mary, so God, you guys are great. I could talk to you forever. Bad news is I've got another 6 people to get to. That's if it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Or if it's 8 in the morning, yeah, I could talk to y'all forever, but I got another 12 families to help today. So I got to get moving. Let me explain to you why I'm here. I have 3 things I need to accomplish today, okay? The first thing I need to accomplish is we need to figure out what plan can best fit your needs. Okay, we've got quite a few different carriers that we use. They all have different products. So we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. I have a sheet here that is used for suitability that I'm going to ask a bunch of questions on. It's going to help me figure out what direction we need to go in. So I need to figure out what plan can best fit your needs. That's number 1. Number 2, I need to make sure whatever plan that is, it fits in your budget today. That's going to be the most important thing for you. And then number 3, which will be the most important thing for me, is to make sure that you actually qualify for that plan. We have to send some paperwork into the insurance company. Now it's all done online. We find out within 30 seconds of us completing it if you're going to get approved or not. And if you're not, then we can find something else to go with. But those are the 3 main things I need to accomplish today. Does that make sense? Now, when you do it like that, first of all, you eliminate any stuff down the road. Like, I told them we're going to find a plan that they need. I told them it's going to fit in their budget. And then I told them we're going to get them qualified today. So this is all within the first 6 to 8 minutes that I'm in the house, which means if they start giving me any BS, I'm out. I'm going, so you guys aren't serious. Like, if they're going to give me objections, they're going to give it to me then. But more times than not, there are no objections. There are no objections. So then I move on and I go right into the client worksheet and I start asking questions. Okay, Tom, how much, what do you do for, I've already asked them probably what they do for work, but what do you do for work? How much do you make? Mary, what do you do for work? How much you make? Mortgage amount, monthly payment. And I dig deep. Like, do you have any other bills, car notes, major credit card bills? Is there any debt you're trying to pay off? I want to know. I want to know what's going out every month. I want to know what's coming in every month. I also ask them, like, what do they do? Do you all have any hobbies you do weekly? Do you guys go to Starbucks 2 times a day? It's like, there's something that you spend money on regularly that is like, it's a must. Like, it's a non-negotiable for you. And I do that so that when we get to the portion of the appointment where I'm showing them what I suggest, and it's not options. I'm going, here's what we're going to do today. Here's what I suggest, because I'm the professional and they know it and I know it. I suggest we do this, and it's going to do this, this, and this for you, and it's this much a month. Tom and Mary, is there any reason you can't afford that? Yes or no? And they're either going to say yes or no. If they go, well, that's a little high, I go, okay, so how important is that Starbucks every day? Is the 1 cup of Starbucks a day more important than Mary being able to stay in the house if something happens to you? Is the 1 cup of Starbucks more important than Mary being able to bury you if something happens to you? What you have to give or take, right? What's most important to you? And then we go back and forth. But again, if you do your job in the beginning, you ask enough questions, you write enough things down, you'll have the ammo that when they say anything else other than, yep, that makes sense, and yes, I can afford it, you have stuff to fire back at them. That's what questions do. The information gives you the ammo to close deals when they're not seeing it clear as you need them to see it. And then also you need to explain it to them. Maybe you need to go back and explain it again so they understand, because you don't want them confused in the slightest. So these are some of the tips that I've used over the years. These are some of the things I talk to some of the newer agents about. And if you implement some of this stuff, I promise you, you walking out of homes protecting more people will be something that you could be proud of, and you can make more money, and they're protected. Everybody's happy and everybody wins. But it starts from the beginning of the appointment, not when halfway through, not when you start showing numbers. You have to take control from the time you walk in the door, and you have to posture yourself as the professional. So, guys, I hope this helps. Until next time, make it a big week. Talk to y'all soon.